Letter from Chris Birch about the panel he made for Mark Ashton. Mark Ashton was born on 19th of May 1960. He lived his life to the full and was killed by AIDS at 5 a.m. on Wednesday 11th of February 1987. He was a remarkable man, a wonderful man. We were not lovers or anything like that. I wasn't even one of his closest friends, but we were friends, comrades, and when he died, I did not smile for 3 months. His life had made a tremendous impact on me, and so did his death. For weeks and weeks, I literally could not think of anything else. Now, 7 years and so many AIDS deaths later, I suppose I've gotten over his disappearance from the scene. When, in January 1988, I joined the great 12,000-strong march against Clause 28 of the Tories' local government bill, I instinctively looked for Mark, although he had been dead for almost a year. I no longer do that, but no one who knew him will ever forget him. He was so many things: an Irishman, a communist, a drag queen, a student, an agitator, an organiser, a reader, a writer, a gay rights activist, a wonderful friend, and a very warm and human being. In a letter dated 28th of August 1986, Mark wrote, "I came to socialist politics through struggle in my everyday life, and not a theoretical struggle which needs to be explained in order for people to understand how they are shit on, but a real daily struggle which is visible, all-pervading, and manifests itself through intimidation, violence, discrimination against me as an individual." And in an article in 7 Days in April 1986, he described what it was like to be gay. "Up until now, our problems, discrimination, repression, guilt, violence, anxiety, and ridicule, have been surmountable, either through excesses of bravado or retreat into camp. But AIDS, this is frightening, because unlike all the other threats, trials, and tribulations which are part and parcel of our daily lives, we aren't yet sure how to respond. We could be infected by the virus from our lovers. Should we be infected, we could go on to develop AIDS, and if we develop AIDS, we will probably die." On 30th January 1987, AIDS was diagnosed. That evening, Mark sat up in bed at Guy's Hospital in London, holding court, entertaining his friends, including myself, and generally camping it up. By the following afternoon, he was too ill for visitors. Gordon MacLennan, General Secretary of the Communist Party, was one of those turned away. 11 days later, at 5 a.m. on Wednesday 11th of February, Mark died. He was 26. A lot had been packed into those 26 years. Mark came from Portrush in Northern Ireland. In 1982, he spent 3 months in Bangladesh, and the dreadful poverty he saw there had a profound effect on him. When he came back to London, he joined the Young Communist League and the Communist Party. He answered the phones at Gay Switchboard. He supported the campaign for nuclear disarmament. He threw himself body and soul into political activity. As his Capital Gay obituary recorded, he was always to be found in any of the gay contingents which took part in the large marches and mobilisations against nuclear weapons or Reagan's visit to Britain. He took part in all the early battles between the printers and the Murdochs and Shahs of this world, and from Warrington to Wapping, he was always there. But Mark's greatest achievement was his contribution to the miners' strike, which allowed him to leave his imprint on history. Together with Mike Jackson, Mark founded and inspired Lesbians and Gays Support the Miners, one of the most remarkable products of the 1984 and 85 coal strike. Not only was an incredible £22,000 raised for the miners and their families in the course of a few months, but of more lasting importance, anti-gay prejudice was destroyed, and strong links forged between the lesbian and gay communities and the mining communities of South Wales. It was at this time that Mark came to seek my advice, and I got to know him. But I learned more from him than he could have ever learned from me. When Mark died, his friends set up the Mark Ashton Trust to raise money for people with AIDS. The trust produced and sold a t-shirt, the logo from which forms the centrepiece of my memorial panel. The Communards dedicated their album Red to Mark. One of his friends from the Welsh mining village of Delaeth said, "Everyone here will miss this young man. He was so active and spent a lot of time with our families. The Lesbian and Gay Support Group has visitors regularly since the strike. The South Wales Miners' Reunion will not be the same without him. We all thought he was great. Everyone who knew him thought he was great." Chris Birch, April 1994.